We are talking about spirituality because a big part of the spiritual experience is recognizing the human part of our experience. There's so many people on the spiritual path that are trying to bypass the human part of your experience. I feel like at this point in my own integration journey, my greatest tool has been to learn how to utilize the vessel and the very human part of myself. That means my flaws. That means my judgments, that means my control issues, that means all of these different aspects of myself, and utilize them to catapult me further into my spiritual journey, further into the ascension process, further into connection with the divine and everything that is, and connection to other people as well.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I am so lucky and so excited to talk to Betty Guadagno.
It was great. It's great. It means to earn in Italian. So we'll just leave it at that.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So Betty has quite the story, but Betty is also, she's a transformational coach. She's a writer and she's a spiritual teacher. And holy cow, what a story you have. So, Betty, first of all, welcome and thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for creating space like this. Whenever I get a chance to talk to somebody who is creating conscious space for experiencers to share and make our extraordinary experiences ordinary experiences, I'm always totally lit about it. I think that it's so cool what you do.
Well, thank you. And thank you for helping us get the word out and sharing and spreading the message so that people have some guidance in order to understand what's happening now to us transformation wise and just, the whole experience of shifting into a new level of consciousness. I think that your story is really, really important and for so many different reasons. And I'm kind of give you guys, the audience, a little bit of a background. And this is why I think Betty's story is so important. She's going to talk a lot more about what her experience is, but the main thing that I want to focus on is that she hasn't had an easy life. She had a little bit of stuff that's happened in your life, but the thing about it is that number one, you were having oh my gosh, I can't talk, an addiction problem situation in the past, which I'm not going to go into. But the reason why I want my listeners to hear your story is because there are so many people that are struggling and that have struggled and that have had family members and come from backgrounds that have been very challenging. But the reason why I want you to share your story is because it is so important for us to recognize that we don't have to stay where we are, that we do have the ability to shift and to change, to see things from different perspectives. And so all of you guys that are listening and watching, please listen to this story because I think it can give you some guidance in ways that you may see your life and it can show a different direction. So with all that said, Betty, can you describe a little bit about your life before your near-death experience?
Yeah, my life before my experience was chaos and trauma. And it was really dense and very dark. But I thought that all of those things were so normal. Like, I thought that my life was completely normal. My parents would steal our groceries, and my dad would take weekend trips to jail. And my other friends' dads were going on weekend business trips, but my dad was always going away in handcuffs. But I thought that that was normal. I thought that it was normal to have all of your utilities turned off and to have a long orange extension cord going from your apartment to the neighbor's apartment to borrow electricity. I thought that it was normal to move once or twice a year because this big piece of paper was glued onto your door. Like, we had eviction notices all the time. But as a little kid, I just thought that that was like, oh, okay, it's time to move again. And so there was no foundation in my life, no structure, no consistency. And my parents were just doing the best that they could. Like my life is a very traumatized story, but my parents' lives
Yeah.
were, 10,000 times more traumatizing than my own. So, like, in the linear view of healing generational trauma, my parents did do a much better job than their parents did, but it just fell a little bit short. And in 2007, my parents were dealing with their own drug addiction because my whole family is a family of addicts. And that's to do with so many different things, but mainly because we all deal with an immense amount of sexual trauma as children. So as that generationally continues to happen, drugs and alcohol become the only outlet for numbing the pain of loss of innocence and just destruction and again sexual trauma in all of our lives. And so in 2007 my parents were at another end. They were at another bottom of rock bottom. Lights turned off, gas turned off, another eviction notice on the door, and they decided to end their lives together. They intentionally overdosed and they committed suicide with one another. Drugs killed them. Their toxic codependency to one another killed them. And that trauma shaped the whole rest of my life. And I was already an addict before they died. Like I had started using drugs in my teenage years, but after their death, my addiction became my entire personality. I'm covered in tattoos of liquor bottles and packs of cigarettes. And this was my identity. I was some kind of fun party girl, or so I thought I was. But for me, substances had stopped being fun decades before I let go of them. But it was the only tool that I knew of because it was the only thing that was passed down to me on how to cope with life.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that you're talking about something that is really important for people to understand, not only if it's their situation, but if they're witnessing somebody else's situation, because there's a lot of judgment in our society.
Yes.
And there's a division to where somebody that has experienced a life like yours, people that have never experienced anything like that, that's bad.
Right.
You're a bad person, or whatever all the stories are. But when we're able to understand it and recognize that there's so much stuff that's behind the surface, I think then we can start having more loving compassion, which is healing our own selves in so many different ways. For me, being able to, as we're looking at transitioning into this new spiritual being, the spiritual body, this truth of loving compassion of who we are in non-judgment, when the public, people that have judgment on people's circumstances, it's a perfect example to start breaking down their judgments and becoming more loving and compassionate for the experiences, but also being able to understand how to help heal those experiences, provide the resources, be able to provide those the outlets that people can go through that may not have ever been exposed to anything any different, than what you talk about.
Yeah. Addiction is not a moral failing. Addiction is a disease. It's a disease of the ego. It's a disease of the mind. And it's not it's not a failing. It's not a moral deficiency.
Mm-mm.
It is something that is sometimes inherited through generational stuff, but there's like a saying in 12 step. It doesn't matter if you're coming from a park bench or Park Avenue. The disease of addiction does not discriminate.
Right.
And it can affect a wide array of people. And yes, some people, it takes them all the way to the bottom where they experience homelessness or they experience suicidal ideation or suicide itself. It can totally wreck people's lives. It completely destroyed my life and the lives of so many of my family members, bringing people to death, bringing people to despair, dereliction, degradation. But I cannot stress enough that it is not some sort of moral deficiency. It truly is
Mm-hmm.
something that is a response to some kind of trauma. And the trauma doesn't have to look the same way that the trauma that I'm describing is. It
Yeah.
doesn't need to be something that's very obvious, very physical, very emotional,
Yeah.
very present. It could be like, I raised my hand in class when I was in kindergarten. The
Yeah.
teacher didn't call on me. And now I've carried this core wound that I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not good enough. And so I fill that void with food or sugar or drugs or porn and masturbating or scrolling on my phone incessantly, whatever it is, I need to go into the vibration of addiction to numb myself
Yeah.
from the immense emotional pain from this God-sized hole that I feel inside of me.
Yeah. And I know that this sounds like we're not talking about spirituality, but we're
Oh, we are.
very much talking about spirituality.
Yes, yes.
Um, the way that I use the Akashic records is I call it spiritual psychology. And you just hit on something that people don't ever recognize. They, this a trend of being in bad relationships, a trend of being people pleasers. And it doesn't have to necessarily lead to an addiction. It just has this trend of being small and not feeling worthy. And what you said is the teacher asking a question in the class and you raise your hand and not getting called on. So all of a sudden you start feeling very small. And I think it's important for us to recognize that these little small things start setting up patterns in our lives that make us look at ourselves less than worthy.
Right.
So thank you for saying that. I
Yeah.
really think that that's an important point.
I love what you just said. And it is actually also addiction because it's addiction to fear,
Yeah.
or it's addiction to suffering. It's addiction to ego. It's addiction to the shadow. It's addiction. It is kind of, I mean, it's just a different kind of addiction, right?
It
It
is.
doesn't
And
play out the same
yeah.
way.
Yeah. And addiction and that's the other thing is the definition. We're all addicts in some way.
Yes.
It just may not be with cocaine or with alcohol. It just
Right.
may be I'm addicted to attention.
Yes.
So it's
Validation.
yeah,
There's so many things. Or
yeah,
addiction to numbing yourself out. Like I will
absolutely.
binge watch like a whole series on Netflix that I don't even like. I watched 13 seasons of a TV show that I didn't even like. Why? Because I just wanted to numb myself. I just
Yeah,
wanted to be not present in
yeah,
reality because I didn't
yeah,
think that I could handle my feelings. And so I
yeah,
used that as a tool to
yeah.
not feel my feelings.
Yeah, and I think that everything you're saying is something that we all need to look at ourselves in order to recognize that this is all barriers and blockages from our truest identity.
I also think that, and this is what we are talking about spirituality, because a big part of the spiritual experience is recognizing the human part of our experience.
Mm.
There's so many people on the spiritual path that are trying to bypass the human part of your experience. I feel like at this point in my own integration journey, my greatest tool has been to learn how to utilize the vessel and the very human part of myself. That means my flaws. That means my judgments. That means my control issues. That means all of these different aspects of myself, and utilize them to catapult me further into my spiritual journey, further into the ascension process, further
Mm.
into connection with the divine and everything that is, and connection to other people as well. And so for me, recognizing, taking a look at all of these like quote unquote addictions, all of these coping strategies is such a huge part of the spiritual journey as well. I
Absolutely.
need to look at my shadow in order
Yeah.
to be able to see my light.
Absolutely. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on with your story. So what brought you to rock bottom, and what was your definition of rock bottom?
Yes. Well, drugs brought me to rock bottom. And I've hit a lot of rock bottoms in my life. This particular rock bottom that caused my near death experience to happen, I was homeless. I was a prostitute. I was heavily drug addicted, like worse than I ever had been in my 20 years of using drugs. Every second of every day was spent using, finding money to use, figuring out where I was going to use, who I was going to use with, who did I have to manipulate to get money, to get the things that I needed. Every second of every day was completely consumed with thoughts of using, and my addiction was really my main personality. So that was the bottom of rock bottom. And I ended up just one day taking a little bit too much. And I had overdosed in my life before, and nothing happened in my other overdoses, just like waking up in a hospital bed, someone telling me that they saved my life, not asking anybody to save my life. But this particular time, I did have a very profound awakening experience. I had a near death experience, a near death like experience, and I was taken through a super traumatizing life review because I'm not just a person who experienced trauma in my life. I am a traumatized person who maliciously, intentionally traumatized other people for many, many years of my life. I wanted people to hurt as deeply and badly as I hurt. We have a saying in our collective that hurt people, and healed people heal people.
Yeah.
But I was a hurt person for a really long time, and I just wanted to hurt other people. And so that's what I did. And so in my life review, I experienced all of the hurt that I had inflicted on other people, emotional pain, physical pain. It was so dark and so dense, and there wasn't a lot of light experiences to balance the scales. It was like being caught inside of a trailer to a movie, but like you couldn't look away and you had to just watch the whole thing all the way through. And towards the end of it, I started to experience my parents' suicide from their perspective.
Yeah.
And it was like I was in their awareness, watching the whole scene through their eyes. I watched them make the decision together. I watched them write their suicide notes together. I watched them drive to the pharmacy to pick up their refills that they overdosed on. I watched their bodies die. I felt the deep ocean of anguish that they were drowning in, that they truly thought that this was the best decision that they could make for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like they were totally selfish and they weren't thinking about other people. They literally thought about every person in their lives, their children, their siblings, their everybody. They thought about everybody in their lives and thought, this is the best answer. This is the best that we can do for everybody else. We'll stop being burdens for everybody. And the pain of that experience was so devastating to me. And I didn't realize that I was dead. In that moment, I thought, oh, maybe I am dead because I'm seeing dead people. I'm seeing my parents. I know that they're dead. And so I must be dead. And when I died, I was an atheist at the moment of my death. So I thought that nothing happens when you die. I thought that you just turn into dirt. It's just eternal blackness and game over, lights out. But this was much worse than what I thought happens. I thought nothing happens. And now I'm like writhing in agony and pain and devastation. And I was like, oh, this is hell. This really sucks. And then in that moment of me sort of giving up and accepting that I'm dead and I'm trapped in hell, I heard my father's voice, and he was chanting to me, you are worthy of all the love in the universe. You are worthy of all the love in the universe. And I didn't believe him, but I trusted his voice. And so I started to follow his voice. And it was like I was traveling into the light by following his voice. And then I landed on what felt like the deck of a spaceship. And I was surrounded by thousands of other souls. And there was a commander in the center of this space. And the commander was telling us that we were the bravest volunteers, that we're all volunteering to jump to Earth for the Great Awakening, and that we were all going to be present and a part of the transformation of consciousness. And this was the most exciting time to be on Earth. And I have no idea what's happening, but I have a deep knowing that I am a part of this. It wasn't like I needed to question somebody or like ask for the manager, who's in charge here? Why am I seeing this? What does all this mean? I just knew. I knew this voice is something loving and in charge. And I am a part, I am whatever they are saying that I am. I am the bravest volunteer. I am going to Earth for the Great Awakening. I had massive acceptance around everything. And then my awareness shifted over to another scene, and I found myself in front of a table of beings. And it was like this really crappy plastic banquet table. It was like nothing ornate, nothing beautiful, just like some shitty Costco table. But there was this beautiful ornate book on top of it. And it was like red and gold. And there were these 4 beings behind this table. And I didn't question who they were. I wasn't like, let me see your credentials. Are you the person in charge of this place? Tell me everything. I just knew that they were in charge. And I had massive acceptance around it. I don't know if they're in charge of everything that is, or if they're just in charge of me, but I knew that they were in charge. And they're thumbing through this book and they're saying, it's so good to see you. We're happy that you're here. You're not meant to stay. You're only here for information. And then my awareness goes over to another scene, and I find myself in what looks like a gigantic spiritual supermarket. And I have this gigantic empty grocery cart, and lining the walls of the grocery store aisles are these gigantic cereal boxes. And every cereal box has a life experience on it. And I'm just grabbing everything and I'm throwing it into my cart. Like I have unlimited money. Like I'm ready to spend my whole life savings in this grocery store. And I'm grabbing so much spiritual food. And I'm seeing the boxes go into the cart, and it's like poverty, addiction. And then I see this variety pack of sexual trauma. I'm like, I'll take that. Let me get all of them. And I'm just grabbing the craziest, densest experiences. I know that my parents are picked, my family line is picked. There's stuff that I'm throwing in the cart that I haven't gotten to in my life yet. Like I see a box that says recovery, a box that says spiritual awakening, a box that says teacher. None of those things have happened, but I'm throwing them into the cart, and I'm like, okay, I guess those are going to go back when I go to check out because I don't have enough money for those. But all the other things seem to make sense. And the one moment that I share about whenever I can is that I did pick this cereal box that said childhood sexual trauma on it. And when I pulled the box off the shelf and I threw it in the cart, a little orb of light came out with the box. And that orb of light was the soul of the man that molested me when I was a small child. And we came orb to orb with each other, and we came into a contract. And I could feel in that space of eternity that we loved each other so unconditionally, that we were going to play these roles for each other in this lifetime. I was downloaded with all the reasons why. One of them being that in a previous life, I had been his abuser in this capacity. And so we were balancing the scales for each other. Also, that I was taking on this particular life experience for the whole collective. Again, I'm here for the great awakening. I'm here for the transformation of consciousness. I'm here to transmute and transcend negative experiences and energy. And so as I heal my own childhood sexual trauma, I'm healing for every little boy and every little girl that didn't get an opportunity to heal from theirs. And so in this moment of having all of these downloads and this awareness, I feel so free. Like the chains of victimization have been broken off of me. And I felt like a little ping pong ball, just like floating all over space. It was absolutely incredible. And I find myself back in front of the table of beings, and I am crying out in gratitude. This is the missing piece of the puzzle that I've been looking for my whole life. This is the feeling that I've been searching for in the bottom of every bottle, in the bottom of every drug bag, in every plunger of every needle. This is the feeling that I have been searching for, a feeling of being whole, being understood, being seen, understanding something bigger than myself. And then I said, I'm still not going to go back to Earth because that place is kind of a dumpster fire, but I am so lucky to know all of this. Thank you so much. I understand Earth now in a way that I never did before. And they were like, you're going back. Like there is no option. You will be returning to Earth. And I was screaming out and saying, I've been tricked. I'm not going back there. You guys don't tell us what Earth is actually like. I refuse. I won't go back. And they were kind of like laughing a little bit, and they just were saying, you say this every time you come back home. You always say that we didn't tell you, but you know it. You just go there to forget so that you can remember, because that's the whole fun part of the game. And I'm refusing. This is not fun for me. I don't like it. I don't want to do it anymore. And they said, you're not going back as a punishment. You're going back because you have been training for lifetimes, for this particular lifetime. And we are not going to let you miss your opportunity to experience what is to come. And they said, if you refuse to go back into the body that you just came from, we will show you who you will be reborn into. And they showed me a little baby, and that I was going to have to start from zero if I didn't go back into this body that I'm currently in. And I thought, no way, a baby? Can't do that. That's crazy. So, my options were limited. And the second that I made the decision to go back into this body that I'm currently in, my awareness started to sift back into my body, which was sprawled out naked on my bathroom floor. And the beings of light said to me in this very comforting way, they said, listen, the first part of your life was like boot camp. Nobody likes boot camp. It's like, it's raining sideways. There's a bald guy screaming in your face. You're doing 1,000 push-ups in the mud. It's hardcore. You're homesick. The second part of your life is going to be carrying out your divine mission. You're going to have soulmates and kindred spirits, and you're going to have teachers and mentors and communities. You're going to be living in spiritual awareness. Your life is going to be profoundly different than it's ever been before. Just trust us. And I was like, I do not trust you guys. And then I found myself back on my bathroom floor. I sat up, I shook my head. I was like, whoa, that was effing crazy. I was like, I was so high that I thought I was talking to God. I thought that I planned my life. What a joke. And I just wrote the whole thing off as drug-induced psychosis. I did not think that it was real. I had never heard of a spiritual awakening. I had never heard of a near-death experience. This wasn't on my radar. And so I just went back to living my life the way that I had always been living it. And it took me months to realize that it was a real experience and to get onto a different path.
Well, how did you finally realize that it was an experience?
Just like a million screaming signs from the universe. One of them that's really funny is that all of my drug dealers simultaneously decided to change their lives and stop selling drugs. Like I had 10 guys, I had like 10 drug dealers, all different men. They didn't know each other. Like they were all from different parts of New York. They were all from different parts of my life. Like none of them knew each other. They were not connected in any way. I call up my main dealer, a dude that I had been dealing with every single day for the last 10 years of my life, every single day. And I called him. I'm like, hey, I want to pick up. Where you at? He goes, listen, lose my number. I found Jesus. I want to be a good father. I'm out of the game. Click, blocked me. Okay. I'm like, okay, this is nuts. I call up the next guy on the list. He tells me the exact same story, that he found Jesus and that he was out of the game. I was like, where has Jesus been hiding all of this time?
Jesus was busy, wasn't he?
So weird. That was definitely like one of the big ones. I had a spontaneous healing out of heroin withdrawal. That was obviously a huge marker to let me know that it was a true experience as well. Tons of divine signs and synchronicities leading me into the rooms of 12-step fellowship, leading me into recovery. I landed in a long-term rehab that I was in I stayed there for 1.5 years in long-term treatment. And that's really where I integrated my experience. All of the information that I needed just found its way to me. I didn't have access to a cell phone or the internet for that 1.5 years that I was in treatment. Spirit always sent me the exact books that I needed, the exact people that I needed. Like randomly, some man from a meditation center came to volunteer his time at the facility, at the women's rehab that I was in. Like totally random, never happened before, never happened again, but it happened while I was there. And it just felt like, even though I felt like I was trapped in a space where I wouldn't be able to really spread my wings, Spirit just kept sending me everything that I could have ever possibly needed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, good for Spirit.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said a couple of different things in your story that I want to go back to. One of them was that who were they your guides? Who were these people that you met with?
Yeah, I think that they are.
They aren't people, they're things, spirits, energy.
Yes, I the only reason why I call them beings of light is because I heard another spiritual teacher describe a collective that she channels as the beings of light. And so that's like where I got that language. But I do believe that they were my counsel. They seem like real high up. If my linear mind goes in hierarchy, they're not like my guides that are always around me. Like I have a whole posse of 12 guides that are constantly with me. A little bit of Messiah complex there. I got 12 of them. But they seem like they're maybe a level higher. Like they're not going to interfere with anything. They're just like kind of constructing the universe around me so that the movie looks the way that it's supposed to. Maybe they're like the editing team or like they're like assistant directors or something.
Yeah. Okay. So when they told you that you had signed up and you volunteered for this ascension process, what is your understanding of the ascension process? What is your definition of what they're referring to?
I've had a lot of different things, and as I continue to grow and evolve, my awareness of it continues to grow and evolve. So like what I thought 5 years ago is not
Right.
the same thing that I think
Yeah.
today. What
Yeah.
I thought when it first happened was, okay, I died. Ascension means leaving your body. And so I was like, okay, I'm dead. And
Yeah.
so now I need to get back to heaven. And so I just thought that it was, I'm just trying to get back to heaven. I'm doing
Mhm.
whatever I have to do to get back to heaven. Now my awareness is that I'm bringing heaven here,
Right.
that heaven is in the present moment, heaven is within. And so every moment I'm attempting to bring heaven here. Sometimes I succeed, sometimes I don't. But so for me, this is one thing that changed in my awareness, right? The Great Awakening was my greatest motivator being on this spiritual path. I was like, okay, we only have to hang on for X amount of years and then it'll all be over, and like all the suffering, all the chaos, all the insanity, it'll all end. And so I was always looking forward to when that happens. I'm like always putting all of my energy somewhere else.
Yeah.
So it's no different than what my ego has been doing to me my whole life, making me live in the past out of resentment and fear, or flip out in anxiety about the future.
Yeah.
And even though this was a more joyous thing to think about in the future, it was still ripping me out of the present moment. So, I think that it's just kind of one more ego manipulation to distract me from what my soul is actually here to do, which is to be present, connect with other people, be of service to myself and humanity and the world around me, and to do good, just be a good person. So my idea around ascension now is less like an event is going to happen and more, the ascension is happening within me. Like every moment I'm shedding another layer of myself. And maybe when I shed all the layers of myself, I will leave my body. I don't know. I mean, that might be a cool thing, but I really love Earth now. Like now that I've gone through all of the hardship and I'm on the other side of like the uphill battle to overcome, I love it here. I'll come back here over and over and over again. I mean, like, I feel like they already know that. I don't know if there'll be an earth like this to come back to, but I really do feel like this dream is so much better now. It used to be a nightmare and now it's a happy dream, just to get into Course in Miracles lingo, but it really has transformed for me. So that's kind of my awareness around the Great Awakening now.
Well, but I think it's important. And I think that what you said about living in the past or living in the future, and
Yeah.
that bringing it back to the present moment and feeling complete within us and being present for all the miraculous that's happening. That to me is that's a result of the awakening. It's that shedding off all of the ego and all the stuff that you talked about and getting back here right now, that truest essence of who we all are, because we all are that energy body that left your physical body. Where that's the truth of who we are, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And I don't think that there's anything to wait for. Like, our whole lives we're programmed to think that joy or relaxation come later, happiness
Yeah.
comes later. You're working for the weekend, you're waiting for the summer, you're waiting for retirement, even like orgasm comes later, like anything to pull me out of the present moment. Like I can never just be here and just like be enjoying what's happening right now. I'm always waiting for something else.
Yeah.
But again, the awareness has shifted to like just truly enjoy and be immersed in this present moment. Take in everything with your senses that you can.
Yeah.
Take in every experience that you can. Continue to live, continue to evolve. Don't get distracted by all of these outside things. The only thing that's happening is that I'm sitting in my room right now at my computer desk talking to you. Nothing else even exists right now except for this exact moment for the two of us.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so you said something else, and this is kind of a hard thing to talk about for a lot of people. And the result that you had is what people a lot of times don't want to hear. When you were talking about picking up the box that had the childhood abuse and seeing that little energy ball, I don't know what we want to call it. I think energy ball or soul, whatever
Yeah.
you want to call it, it came to you, and you recognized that it was a connection. And the reason why I want to bring this up is because I do sessions, one-on-one sessions with the Akashic records. And this, your exact words have been said so many times with people that have been the abuser or the abusee. And however, the victim and the abuser, however you want to word it. But I think that it's important for people to hear what you said in that experience. So can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah. And, this information is not necessarily for everyone. Like, if you're not there yet, if you don't want to believe that we choose our lives and believe in spiritual autonomy, you don't have to. Like, I'm not here to shove this belief, or for me, it's a deep spiritual knowing, but I'm not here to shove it down your throat.
Yeah.
I feel like the people who come across the information around pre-birth planning, Akashic records, they come across it because they're at a point in their life where they have run out of options. I need to make sense of the heinous things that I've done or the heinous things that others have done to me. I'm
Mhm.
tired of victimizing myself. I'm tired of living in guilt and shame, and I need some sort of spiritual solution to it. So, yes, my deep spiritual knowing, and if it's not a knowing for you, you can adopt it as a belief, is that we do pre-plan our lives before we come to earth. We plan the people that we will have the experiences with. Your children are chosen, your parents are chosen, your spouses are chosen. And I'm talking about major plot points. Like, you haven't planned every bowel movement that you'll have in your life. You haven't picked out every meal that you'll eat while you're here, but you have decided on the major plot points of your story. And then the way that we exercise free will is by designing what we do in between those plot points. So, like, for me, 3 of my major plot points are addiction, recovery, spiritual awakening. Now, I had plenty of opportunities in my lifetime to hop out of the addiction lesson and go into recovery and spiritual awakening. The first time I ever went to rehab, I was 18 years old. I didn't get clean until I was 35. And I had been in over a dozen detoxes and rehabs in between 18 and 35. All of those were options for me to go on to the next cereal box, every single one of them. But I never did it. I just would look at the box and be like, I don't want to taste that right now. Like, it was just not something that I felt like I wanted to do. And that's me utilizing my own self will, my own free will, to create my story the way that I think that it should be created. So today I don't improvise anymore. Today I know that spirit's got a whole timeline mapped out for me, and all I have to do is surrender to win. If I want the next thing to happen in my life, all I have to do is just let go. Just let go and be in flow with whatever's going to happen next. So yeah, I do believe that we plan our lives before we come here. I do think that, especially like the really big traumas in your life, like if you've experienced that kind of sexual abuse, if the people that you've experienced it with, you guys picked it out together. I mean, my human mind cannot comprehend how that would evolve you as a soul, and my human mind is not supposed to understand how that can evolve you. And I wish that I had some carefully constructed sentence that would just really hammer home the point for everybody. This is why we do it. But at the end of the day, all that I can really come up with is there's nothing to do in heaven. And so we just want to experience everything that we can while we're here. And yeah, some of the stuff is like kind of effed up and doesn't really make sense. But I mean, the alternative is nothing.
Yeah.
So like, we come here, we experience weird things. And I think that really the underlying theme is forgiveness. Why do I experience abuse with other people? So that I can open myself up to more forgiveness. How can I even understand what forgiveness is if I haven't understood betrayal, or if I haven't understood rejection? I can't really understand what forgiveness is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that that's really significant to be able to understand, and being able to understand the full capacity of forgiveness.
Yes.
So can you explain a little bit more about forgiveness?
I will say this, like, after that experience in the spiritual supermarket with the man who was that was my main excuse for why I did everything in my life. Every misbehavior, every addiction pattern, every time that I hurt somebody. Well, of course, I'm a traumatized person. I experienced all this trauma. So this was my main excuse for acting like a victim and just doing whatever it was that I wanted no regard for anybody else's feelings. And in that moment of having this download, I experienced immediate forgiveness. Like I've never had to look at that situation again and be like, why did this happen to me? I've never felt sorry for myself again. I have 1,000,000% forgiveness inside of my heart because I know that it's pre-planned. Even for my parents, I have the utmost respect for their human journey. They did not finish Earth School. They did not pass class. I don't think that their suicide was planned because I don't believe that things like that are planned in the pre-birth plan. But I do know that they chose such a challenging circumstance in their life that they knew that it was a very high probability that something like that would happen to them in their lifetime. And they still took on that extra difficult level of the game because they really thought that they could get through it. And I believe that in other timelines, they are succeeding and getting through their experience 100%.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that I have forgiveness for everybody. Like sometimes, like I miss the subway and like I'm cursing the train conductor and I'm like, that motherfucker. And I don't forgive him for the whole day. Or like there's people I have resentments against. Nothing big. Like it's usually really little stuff that just like annoys me. But I have to really work on forgiveness. I have to pray every night. I have to pray for the people that I don't want to forgive. I pray for them to have everything that I desire for myself. I try to see them as their inner children or their inner baby and just offer forgiveness. And it's a very challenging thing, I would say. I have a much easier scope on forgiving large like misunderstandings than I do little things.
Yeah. So when we talk a whole lot about awakening and most people that we talk to that are like on podcast and on this type of platform, the people that are the most public with their experience typically have some kind of awakening that like yours, like it was a near-death experience or it was something profound. And I can't tell you how many people have had, OD'd and had these experiences. It's not unusual. Although I do not recommend it. Don't OD to try to have an awakening experience.
Right.
That's not what I'm saying at all. But what my question is to you is that through your experience and through all the knowledge and the wisdom that you've gained through all of this, do you feel like there's other ways that people can become awakened, so to speak, and I want to change that because I'm kind of, the longer that I do this and the more that I'm getting into this, letting go of this old way of being and walking into the new, I kind of don't like the awakening word. It's starting to trigger me a little bit.
Yeah.
It's
more aware. There's ways for you to become more aware and to step into a different level of awareness and focus.
I like that better, that word. So how would you describe that, and how do you feel like people can start shifting into this more of awareness?
Yes. So there's so many different techniques on how to do this. And I think honestly, some people are not going to like some of the very plain things that you have to do. Again, just because I had a profound experience doesn't mean that I haven't had to do consistent, disciplined, regimented things on my spiritual journey. Like that near-death experience was a catalyst for sure, but my recovery journey, every other aspect of my spiritual journey has just been about consistency and discipline. And so I thought before, well, I'm just not a consistent or disciplined person, but I have been my whole life. Even if you are a procrastinator, you are disciplined in procrastination. Yeah. All you have to do is just rework the energy to go into a direction where it's actually beneficial for you. Yeah. So here's some of the things that I do to like stay quote unquote high vibe and like keep my journey going. Number one, I eat clean. So I'm a gluten-free, sugar-free vegan, and I only drink water. Okay, humble brag. I used to eat pills out of other people's puke. Okay, this is like major transformation vibes. Mm-hmm. And that took consistency and discipline and baby steps. I didn't do it all at once. I did things a little bit at a time, and then it led me to this. I exercise my body. I connect with this vessel. I truly believe that in this world, we live on this three-legged stool, and the three legs are body, mind, and spirit. And my belief is that my body houses my mind and my spirit. Some people say that your soul is outside your body. Some say it's inside your body. But just for the sake of this, right? My body is the key to me continuing to level up in awareness, because this is the textbook that I'm inside of to get me through this earth experience. I got to take care of it. I'm going to exercise it. I'm going to feed it properly. I'm going to hydrate it. I'm going to do all the same things that I would do for a house plant. I will do for my body. I'm not going to fill it with garbage. And that garbage means food, information, content, toxic relationships. Those things don't have any space in my life today. So I have to be very intentional with what I do with my time and my energy. Being of service is an incredible way to open up your awareness. Do something for someone else without expectation. You don't have to donate thousands of dollars to a cause. Hold a door open for 30 seconds longer than you would have, just like you walking out the door. Like, just stand there for a couple of minutes and keep the door open for other people. That's a great act of service to humanity.
Yeah.
Start a spiritual group. Give space for other spiritual experiencers to come and talk about their experiences. I started an intentional community. We meet virtually. We have in-person locations all over the country. This is something that felt like very dear to my heart. I know that people are having experiences. People are intentionally trying to expand their awareness. And so creating space for that is so amazing. Like what you're doing here, just like creating this podcast, having conversations is so incredible. People need this. So find a way to be of service, take care of your vessel. And that's really the key to opening up and being more aware, for sure.
Okay. So explain the concept of shadow work.
Okay.
And
So yes.
okay, so and how you've used it.
Yeah. Shadow work has been my greatest catalyst on my own awakening or awareness journey. And so shadow work is basically like embracing your darkness. So again, lots of people who come into spiritual awareness, they say, well, I don't agree with the person that I was before. Like, I don't identify with them anymore. Like, I just want light and love and high vibe only. And please don't come at me with your darkness and negativity and blah, blah, blah. But that is not human. It's so not human. Humans are controlling, judgmental people that have tons of flaws. And you know what? Like, God loves us anyway, flaws and all. So for me, in order for me to be my most authentic self, I have to embrace all the pieces of myself. That means that I love the addict part of me, the part of me who is just so strung out. And I love the abuser part of me, the part of me that was hurting other people and still continues to hurt other people unintentionally. The part of me that's controlling, my wounded inner child. We have like this amazing relationship now. She's now my healed inner child. She's such a little rock star. She comes with me everywhere that I go. So basically, what I do is I design the pieces of my shadow. I do deep character development around them. It's just childlike imagination and intuition. It's nothing intense. You don't have to be a psychic. You don't have to be in trance. You don't have to be a medium. Just start getting creative about it. Like my inner saboteur looks like the chick from The Ring. She's like gray, like greasy hair on her face, like her fingernails are all, she looks kind of scary. And she'll come in and she will wreck my life because she thinks that she's protecting me. She doesn't know that I have a connection to the light because she's never seen it. So every day I welcome her into the light with me. I cover her in this beautiful pink essence and she doesn't look as scary to me anymore. And she comes along for the ride. So shadow work is really embracing all aspects of yourself, not trying to reject. I'm not trying to murder anything. I'm not trying to murder my ego or kill my ego. I'm not a murderer. I am a benevolent child of the divine, and every single piece of me is welcome in eternity, and it's welcome in my human experience as well.
Yeah. So you talked about your 12 guides that are around you, and then in the higher guides that you have the conversations with. So can you elaborate a little bit more on the angels and the spirit guides that help you with your
Yes.
healing journey? Okay.
Yes. So again, same thing, childlike imagination, intuition. I have kind of like a little deal with the universe that when I'm meeting a guide, when I was designing my guides, I would ask for them to send me their name in threes. So the first time that I started, I knew that I had somebody was with me, like that much I knew. But I also thought that maybe I was schizophrenic, and I thought that maybe I had multiple personality disorder. I was like going into Western ideas of what was happening to me because I couldn't really find any information about what was happening to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew that there was something else with me. I knew that I had been touched by heaven. I knew that I had been touched by the divine. And so the first guide that I ever developed is my manifestation guide. And I asked him what his name was. And then I found a Philips Discman. And this was like in 2019. CDs have been obsolete for many, many years. I'm like, why am I seeing a Discman? This is so weird. But it said Philip on it. And then I went down into the common room. This is when I was in treatment. And on the TV, the closed captions were on and it said, Philip, 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 exclamation point. And I was like, okay, his name is Philip. Just that easy, right? Like I'm the designer. I'm the creator of my universe. So I designed Philip. He is like a very plain looking guy. He wears a green polo and pleated khakis. I'm like, Philip, nobody wears pleats anymore. Come on, this is crazy. But he has helped me manifest wild abundance into my life. He is my number one supporter, my number one cheerleader. I used to be a homeless crackhead prostitute. And today I live in a beautiful luxury 2-bedroom, 2-bath in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. I have a romantic relationship that I never could have conceptualized for myself. It's based around growth and health and happiness. I have this very successful coaching business that I'm so grateful to be of service to people that are on this path as well. I'm of service. I'm a mentor. Like Philip has helped me manifest all these things. And all of my guides have a different purpose in my life. I have an inner child guide. I have an intellect guide. I have a writing guide. I have angels that support me. I have a creative guide. I have so much support and it's not exclusive to me. Okay. If some homeless crackhead has it, I'm pretty sure that everybody else does too. So all you have to do is just ask for help. Our guides are like our Earth customer service agents. It only works if you pick up the phone and ask them to help you. So just write it out. Say a little prayer. I'm waiting for a guide to come to me. Please help me and assist me on my journey. And just wait for the universe to surprise you. It's totally going to. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to hear the story about how it comes to fruition.
um, so I'm sorry, I'm laughing about, I love that. I love that idea. So, and we have so many guides around us and, people ask me all the time, why can't I hear my guides? Why aren't they there? Why are not connecting? And I can you please answer that question for people?
Yes, like, girl, what do you want? Like, do you want them to, like, do you want an apparition in front of you? How much do you need? I'm sure that if that happened, you would lose your mind and go straight into the loony bin. They come through in really subtle ways. And, there's a quote, when I believe it, I'll see it. So like everybody is waiting to see it first and then they'll believe it. But that's not the way that the law of attraction works.
Right.
The whole world is a gigantic echo chamber. So whatever you yell out will just boomerang right back to you and become your reality. So if you affirm, I cannot hear or see my guides, guess what, sis? The universe says, okay, girl, you can't hear or see your guides.
Yeah.
It doesn't like gift us amazing things like, oh, I feel real bad for her. Let's help her out with this. It will only meet you where you're at. So you have to start believing that you're worthy of connection. Start believing that it's possible. Again, if a homeless meth head prostitute strung out on heroin can receive spiritual guidance, I am positive that you can too.
Yeah.
Absolutely positive. They'll come through in feathers, pennies, butterflies, sequences of numbers. Those are their little subtle ways of coming to you. And then you're more than welcome to ask for a specific sign as well so that you can know that you're supported. But just act as if, I hope all your delulu comes true. Really, truly.
Yeah.
Like be delusional with your intention about this. Like, I know that I'm connected. Like affirm it. Really put your hands on your hips. Say it out loud. Scream it on a mountaintop. I am connected.
Yeah. And, and I think it's just so important because people have this idea of I'm not connected unless I can hear the voice. I'm not connected, like you said, unless there's something that's standing in front of me. And we forget that, the hawk that just flew over that got our attention or, the billboard or the Phillip on everything, we are, our brains are so, the way that it's coming to me to describe it is that our brains have been compressed to be so small that we limit our possibilities because our brain says this is the only way that that you will receive your guides. And if you don't channel information like Lisa does, or if you don't have an experience like Betty does, then you're not good enough or you can't do. So I think that it's important, like you said, to open up our minds and be open to everything that's around us and start seeing the signs. And that's when the miracles start and the miraculous, starts opening up to us, is that when we open our mind, start using our imagination, then everything starts appearing and we start hearing differently. We start seeing differently. So, yeah.
Yes. I will just add to that we all are operating with a 2 gig flash drive. I love how you just use the word compressed, right? That's just like, I say this all the time. We all have a 2 gig flash drive. Me too. Even with an experience, Lisa as well, with her ability to channel, she has a 2 gig flash drive as well. The difference between what we're doing is that we've deleted some old files off of our flash drive so that we can upload new files. And that's all that you have to do too. You just have to let go of some of the limiting beliefs and rewire in some new beliefs. And that's not a one and done. Again, it takes consistency and discipline. We're all practicing new muscles. So when you come into spiritual awareness, you have to continue to exercise the muscles. Don't feel defeated. Don't give up 5 minutes before the miracle. Keep going. You don't know when your miracle is coming. So just keep going and keep believing and work hard to keep those files off the 2 gig flash drive. It's like virus protection. You have to like continue to re-upload it and really, really work on rewiring those limiting beliefs, because those limiting beliefs is definitely the block.
Yeah, I love your description of, it's the flash drive. Okay, it's like, okay, let's delete what's not needed anymore. And then you have more space. And then the new information that's coming in, the new way of being is filling up that empty space. And, I think that that's a beautiful metaphor. And, I describe it a little bit differently, but I may start using that.
No, yeah, use it. It's really good. My mentor taught me that. It's really, really good.
I
Yeah.
like it because it makes so much sense this way.
Yeah.
So as we're talking about this, about deleting the old and allowing the new to come in, the new energy patterns, the new way of being, looking at life differently, all these things, this leads into the question of the awakening of the whole universe and this whole process that the earth is going through right now. So how do you feel about this thought and this idea of this great awakening ascension process?
I think that it's tits. I love it. It's great. But again, I don't want to focus on it because it will rip me away out of my present moment. So I see the great awakening happening in my present moment. And some people will say like, but what about all of the suffering in the world? What about Gaza? What about this? What about that? And to that, I say, I reduce my ability to be of service to others when I focus on the suffering of 8 billion people.
Yeah.
So I do see the great awakening happening in my universe. I am in my individual dream. There is nothing that I can do about the outer dream. And listen, I have a job where I'm of service. Like I have a day job. I work in the streets of New York City with the homeless population. I work as a coach. I'm with people all the time that are going through what they really think is perceived suffering. And I'm here for it. I totally understand that people are going through stuff, but I can only impact my individual dream. I am of use to no one if I am spreading my energy and my focus and my awareness all over the planet. Like I am here where I am to do what I'm supposed to do here. And so the great awakening is happening every moment of my day that I choose to focus on my dream and not the outer illusion.
Well, I want to build on that. So thank you. Beautiful. Because there's a couple of things that you said in that. First of all, us worrying about the people in Gaza. Now, let me, we're not worrying about the people in Gaza only. That was just an example.
Right.
But what we are talking about is my view of other people's suffering or my view of what other people are experiencing, because this is a question that comes up a lot to me as well. And so what I want to go back to the grocery store. And you know what I'm going to say is that every individual that's in every situation went to the grocery store and picked out a box. And it's hard for our human minds to understand that. But you understand what I'm saying. It's their journey. And this is why it's important to reiterate what you're saying about how important it is for me to stay in me.
Yes. And like, girl, for real, it is so impossible to explain this, right? But I'm going to just say this. It is not my job to take away someone's spiritual autonomy. So even like in the streets of New York City, right? It's crazy here. Like in one city block, I could see a homeless person defecating, a new mother and father pushing their newborn baby in a stroller, and a millionaire getting out of a Porsche, all in like 100 feet of itself, right? Like there's a wide array of things happening in this city. And I truly believe that everybody has designed their life. Even the homeless person on the ground has designed that. Like, do I still feel immense empathy for what they're going through in the moment? Absolutely. I have to like protect myself with an energetic bubble all the time because I can really feel what's going on in other people's experiences. But I am not going to rip away someone's spiritual autonomy. Even if I was able to give that man $20,000, that's not, who am I to take away his experience?
Yeah.
His experience of awakening and coming into awareness could be something just as magical as mine. Like I was that person, so like, I don't think that anybody is hopeless. I don't think that anybody is helpless. I believe that everybody has connection to everything that they need. It's just like not on my timeline. I don't get to decide. I'm not the decider of those things. That's way above my pay grade. I'm just going to let the universe do what the universe does.
Yeah. So important I hope everybody's listening. Please hear what Betty's saying right now. Yeah. So what are the final words of wisdom that you would give somebody that's feeling lost and disconnected?
Please reach out for support. Okay. In the beginning of time, okay, we'll go from a soul perspective. We came here with a tribe of other souls. We have soul families. They are waiting to connect with us. Write down an intention if you're feeling lonely. The members of my soul family are finding their way to me. Put it under your pillow, pray about it. I promise you it will happen. But not only that, when humanity first became a thing, we were in tribes of people. Why were we in tribes of people? Because if we weren't, we would get eaten by a tiger. And today, the tigers have changed. Yes, we have much less chance of actually being eaten by a wild animal, but today the tigers are depression, anxiety, isolation, despair, loneliness, and we still need other people to lift us up and protect us from those tigers. Okay, we need each other. This whole idea of hyper independence is totally for the birds. I don't know where it came from, but I don't think that that's the way that it's supposed to be. I know that we're supposed to be connecting with each other. So please feel free to reach out to me. I know tons of resources. My whole brain is just a filing cabinet of resources. I'd love to connect you to free communities that can help you heal, that can make you feel seen and heard and safe. I'd love to work with you if you feel like you're looking for coaching and mentorship. But please find somebody, reach out to somebody, get connected to other people. I truly do believe that that's the key.
Yeah. Well, I agree with that. So you mentioned get in contact with you. Okay, so let's talk about, give us a summary of what services that you do offer and then how people can get a hold of you.
Yeah. So we'll go up the tiers, right? I have free spiritual sharing spaces, 2 free spiritual sharing groups on Tuesday and Sunday. And we have a couple more on the horizon that are coming. Host a Course in Miracles study group on Wednesdays. All of these things are totally 100% free and they're community led. So like, I'm not a teacher in these spaces. I'm just another community member holding space. Sometimes I do service. Sometimes I just sit and listen. Sometimes I participate. But everybody is welcome. Like everybody's voice matters. Everybody's voice counts. And that's that community. I host really affordable workshops that are super interactive. So different topics like how to manifest or heal your inner child or shadow work workshops. I do a shadow and light workshop with one of my spiritual besties, Rebecca Castle. We do that once a month. And then I do private coaching where you can get really deep and connect in a very real space. And it's a true space of non-judgment. Like, I have literally been through it all. I'm
Mhm.
nobody to judge anybody. And I really help people cultivate courage to step into your biggest, baddest, boldest life. You are not here to be small. I say this often, but you used to be a sperm inside of a testicle, and then you were cooked inside of a human body, and then you were shit out of a vagina. And now you are a living, walking human being floating around on a rock in the middle of outer space. Do you actually think that you came here to play it small? That's cuckoo bananas. Okay. Like, our lives are miraculous. It is insane that we exist and that we exist at the same time on earth together. So if you're looking to step into the next level of your life, please feel free to reach out. I would love to be there to be a witness to that with you.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so how do people contact you?
So I have a website. It's buddhabetty.com. It's a play on words. I'm not really a Buddha. My handle is the same on all social media as well. And I really look forward to hearing from anybody who wants to connect.
Awesome. So, Betty, thank you so much for sharing your story. It's fabulous information. So, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. For you guys that are watching, thank you for watching. I will have Betty's information, her website information, on the underneath the video description. So on this video, just scroll down the video description. At the bottom of the video description, you'll see her website, and then you can go to her website and find out her contact information. So all of you, Betty, thank you again for being here, and all of you guys, thank you for joining us, and I'll see you next week.